Hello, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports for today's Raptors Happy Hour stream. This is the show that goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the Raptors Happy Hour, where we discuss all things Raptors, the latest news, updates on the team. And man, we have some updates today. We saw some big updates come in today. We're going to be talking about, actually, it was yesterday, but we saw some big updates coming in this week that we're going to be talking about. And we also talk about what's going on around the NBA. There is some big news around the NBA. So, good show planned for you guys today. Of course, the lead sort of story that we're going to be going with for the show today is the fact that the Raptors have made the difficult decision to waive 5 of their players. 3 of them, not surprising. One of them, not super surprising. One of them, very surprising. Did not see it coming. Did not at all see that one coming. So we're going to be talking about all of that today on the stream. If you guys do enjoy along the way, make sure you do smash that like button. Goes a long way to supporting the channel. And please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Keep up to date with the content we have coming your way. I am live on this channel Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm live for loads of Raptors games for watch-alongs, and we do bonus videos throughout the week as well. So lots of fun stuff for you guys to tune into. Yes. As far as the watch-alongs go, today the Raptors are playing against the Brooklyn Nets at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to stream that one. Going to be live for that one, but I thought about it. I contemplated not streaming because we have the Toronto Blue Jays. Game 5 of the ALCS. The Jays have gotten back home field advantage. Even if they lose this game, they still have home field advantage in the series. They'll be down in the series, but they'll have games 6 and 7 at home at the Rogers Center. That game starts just after 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So I talked about maybe doing it. I decided, let's do it. We're going to do a dual watch along. We're going to have both games up on, my screen. And we'll be watching along both of those games together. Should be a lot of fun. It'll be a Toronto Blue Jays versus Seattle Mariners and Toronto Raptors versus Brooklyn Nets live dual watch along starting at about 6 p.m. Eastern Time. For that reason, this is a 5 p.m. Eastern Time show. This show's not going to go the full happy hour that it usually goes to. Going to end it, like 10, 15 minutes early because I do want like a little bit of a buffer for myself to get set for the 4-hour marathon of a watch along that is about to take place for the Jays in Game 5 and for the Raptors in their final preseason tune-up ahead of the season. So should be a lot of fun. The link to go to watch that is in the pinned at the top of the chat. So you can quickly head over to that. So you got me live for essentially the next 5 hours. So it should be some fun. Friday night, why not have some fun with it? And hopefully we can get some good content out of it. But there are people who do watch this show not while it's live. So, we do have some content to discuss. Like I said, with the Raptors making the decision to waive some players. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. Did want to open up because as much as it's fantastic that, we have the Raptors, well, not fantastic, as much as we have Raptors news to discuss, it's not fantastic news, but as much as there is some breaking news to discuss, the biggest news coming out of Toronto sports in the last day or two absolutely is the Toronto Blue Jays. Guys, how about them Blue Jays? I mean, they were down 2-0, lost both games at home. I was at Game 2. It felt really bleak. It really did feel bleak after that Game 2 loss. But they roll into Seattle, steamroll them in Games 3 and 4. Everyone seemingly chipping in. Like IKF comes in to the lineup yesterday. I think he had 2 runs, but he gets a big hit in his first at-bat. Jimenez, back-to-back games with a home run. Like, where did that come from for Andrés Jimenez? Max Scherzer is 41, and the track record of 40-plus-year-olds playing in the postseason, it does not go very well, but Scherzer had an absolutely fantastic night of pitching. We got some iconic moments out of it as well. I don't know if you guys were tuning into this one, how big of baseball fans you are, but we had some pretty iconic moments come out of it. Blue Jays manager John Schneider out to the mound, probably going to take him out of the game. Scherzer says, "Get out of here." As far as what I got out of lip reading it a couple times, he said Max Scherzer yells, "Get out of here, go." And then when Schneider hesitated, he went, "Let's go." Not like let's go as in he's fired up. Let's go as in get the fuck off the mound. I'm staying in this game. He proceeds to strike out the next batter, gets the next 2 outs. Unfortunately, did not get through 6 innings to give him a quality start, but he does get the win after going through 5 innings. So, hey, good for him. He had a great game, and as much as you don't want to see that sort of disrespect towards your manager or the pitching coach, because he did kind of barge into him after the 5th inning for even daring to think about taking him out of the game. But you kind of miss, you kind of liked seeing that competitive fire on a Toronto sports team. This is a guy who's done it. This is a guy who's seen so much and has had so much experience in the MLB, and he's super competitive, wants to win. He feels like he can help the team do that. And he did yesterday. And it's nice to see like somebody fired up like that in Toronto. I kind of like it. The vibes have been so fantastic with this Toronto Blue Jays team all throughout the season and in the playoffs, other than those games 1 and 2. So it's great to see. We got game 5 tonight. The Jays, last I checked, were very slight favorites to win that game. Very slight. Like, we're talking above 50%, I think less than 51% chance the Blue Jays win this game tonight. Let me just verify that. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Actually, it's a bit further. 52% or so chance, according to Sportsbook odds, that the Blue Jays will win today. So it's basically a coin flip. It could go either way. I'm really excited to see how that one turns out. But, man, we know the importance of it. Game 5, you win, you go home. You get 2 chances at home to close out the series and go to the World Series. So, yeah, we know how important it is today, and we're going to be watching along, seeing how they do. And, we'll be dabbling with the Raptors as well as they get a look at the team for a final time ahead of the season. Let's say what's up to the people in the chat today. Thank you so much for joining me. We have Raptor Champs joining us, saying, is Scotty playing tonight? I haven't seen anything in regards to the Raptors lineup tonight, so I'm not. I guess I could double check. I used to be really on top of Raptors news, but I haven't been as much lately because I've just been so busy. Life is just so busy right now. I don't see. Yeah, they haven't dropped a starting lineup for today. Brandon Ingram is in the graphic on the Raptors social media page, so it's. I mean, you could still not play despite that, but I haven't seen anything regarding who is playing for the Raptors today. So, yeah, I don't see anything. Yeah, I don't see anything on if Scotty Barnes is playing or not. So we shall see. Hey, if the lineups aren't as strong as it could be, we still got the Jays to enjoy. That is for damn sure, or hopefully enjoy. Q-Man joining us. What's going on? Scotty 561 Barnes says, how you feel about how Scotty been playing this preseason? Well, we've talked about it extensively on the channel. In short, I've wanted more. I definitely have wanted more out of Scotty Barnes. He's been great defensively, great playmaking wise, good energy. But when you're as important of a player as he is to this team, the scoring just needs to improve. And hopefully we do see that level of improvement. And I hope he does play in this last game because it has not been a very convincing preseason for him, a newly anointed max contract player in the NBA. There's pressure. You got to deliver off that. You're a max contract player. There's different standards naturally for that much money. We have Eric Klutz in chat, who talked about who the Raptors did sign, which we will get to shortly. And we have 2 of our fantastic 12-month members here, Gregory in the chat, as well as Nick Killer, Thomas Perry. Thank you so much for joining in. Raps making more cuts than McCain's. Yeah, 5 players, like I said, to kind of intro. Waivers and how surprising each of them were. 3 of them were like almost guaranteed to happen. But definitely some tough decisions, certainly, have been made for the Raptors there. So I'd be I'd be pretty bent, honestly, if Scotty Barnes didn't play today, because he's played in, I think he's played in 2 of the 5 preseason games so far. And in the first one, his scoring was horrendous. He didn't have a field goal. And then in the second one, he was 3 of 11. So, like, it's not been convincing from the player, right? And it's not like we're coming off of a season where last season was like, oh, he'll just continue where he left off. That's fine. Like, he was not very good last season scoring-wise. So I wanted to see kind of the strides he took in the offseason. I wanted to see what sort of development has taken place there. So far, we haven't seen any. So that's why I wanted to get a little bit more of a tune-up in here, because even if it's a case that he needs to get his legs under him, he needs to kind of get accustomed to the speed and everything again, that's fine. But like, then he needs to fucking play in these preseason games in order to help him do that. Not playing is not going to help him do that. So I don't see any strong reason why Barnes should not be playing this game today. I've been pretty comfortable. Barnes played in 3 preseason games now. Yeah, sorry. He's played in 3. But again, all of them have left a bit to be desired. So we will kind of see that. A player I'd be pretty comfortable not playing, to be honest, would be Ingram, because Ingram has been so great. And we have the official 34 months now. Wow, we're almost at 3 years. 34 months for 905 Yada. Wow. Yada, thank you so much. Almost 3 years. Unbelievable. Glad to have you along for the ride. And hopefully you keep enjoying the content, because you do a lot to support this community, and I'm very much appreciative of that. Thank you so much. 34 months. Man, that is a long time. Big shout outs to 95 Yacht in the chat, please. Anyways, continuing this conversation. It's still leaving quite a bit to be desired for Barnes. That's just like the whole thing. It was in the end 3 of 13. Looking it up now. In that game against the Celtics, 7 points. Like, 10 rebounds is great, 4 assists is great, his defense is great, but you're a max contract player. You need to score a little bit better than that. Like, you just need to be more effective at the scoring and the finisher than that. It's the reality, No more. There's really no more excuses. Like, it's just gotta start happening. Yeah, he's still young, but it's just it needs to start happening now. This team is too expensive to not be a threat to make the playoffs. And if Barnes isn't up to snuff, then the Raptors are going to find it more difficult to make the playoffs. And, same can be said for Emmanuel Quickly, who's kind of struggled. Barrett's been just Barrett. He'll have games where he's scoring well, playing well, decently efficient. He'll have games where he's scoring well, but not super efficient, not playing that well. It's just RJ Barrett kind of experience. RJ's been RJ. RJ has been as expected, as advertised. Ingram has gone above that, but Barnes in particular hasn't, and definitely neither has Emmanuel Quickly. So hopefully they just need some more time to get adjusted and they can step up for the regular season. Preseason is everything, but it's also not nothing. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the news. The controversial decision, if you will, that has been made by the Toronto Raptors, because the news is out. The Raptors, they've waived 5 players from their roster. They've also signed another one, which we'll talk about. But the big story is they have waived 5 players. 3 of them, it was not a surprise that they waived them. One of them, it kind of wasn't a surprise that they waived them, and it shouldn't really be a surprise to you. But one of the players the Raptors chose to waive came as a very large surprise, and I kind of want to evaluate whether or not it was the right decision from the team, because I kind of question whether or not it was. So the news came out yesterday, and again, when I saw it, I was quite surprised. the Raptors, they waived Jared Rhoden, David Roddy, Olivier Sarr, all players who are on Exhibit 10 contracts. So no surprises there. Exhibit 10 contracts are given to players who you expect to waive. And if they are waived and then signed for your G League affiliate, in this case it is the Raptors 905, they are given a bonus financial. They're given a bonus. They're given a financial bonus for choosing to sign with that team's G League affiliate. In this case, again, for the Raptors, it is the Raptors 905. So you are basically giving them the Exhibit 10 deal to try their luck in camp, but ultimately it is a bonus to incentivize them joining your G League affiliate. Typically, when you give out these contracts, you want the players to sign for your team in the G League. There are cases like Jamison Battle last season, who outplayed his Exhibit 10 deal and earned himself a two-way contract, but that's very seldom seen. Those were not the surprises. The player that was kind of not surprising was A.J. Lawson. Now, I understand A.J. Lawson is a talented player, and also on top of the fact that A.J. Lawson is a talented player, the Raptors had a roster spot available here. They had an open roster spot here. How the rosters work, you can have 15 players on your main NBA roster. You can have 3 players on two-way contracts. And then for training camp, you can have 3 additional players. In this case, the 3 additional players were Jared Rhoden, David Roddy, Olivier Sarr, who were on Exhibit 10 deals and got waived. So nobody is really competing for a camp spot. But they had a roster spot open, the 15th spot for A.J. Lawson. But I kind of said this a couple months ago, that he is going to be fighting against himself really to make that spot. That spot is there. He just needs to justify the Raptors giving him that money, paying him, even though it's not a lot. The Raptors are, in a bit of financial distress, a little bit of constraints there with the cap. This alleviates it a bit. He needs to prove to the Raptors that he is worth paying to be with the team and occupy that 15th spot on the roster. And in the end, he was not able to do that. And I understand it. I mean, I don't think it should have been surprising in media availabilities from people like Bobby Webster. They've talked about not knowing if they want to go with 14 or 15 guys. And we keep talking about how deep this team is, how many solid players there are on the bench. And it seemingly goes like 13 players deep. So, paying A.J. Lawson to be on even the outside of that 13-man roster, it would have been great to have even stretch. I can trust A.J. Lawson with NBA minutes, and you can stretch the roster further, but there's just so much competition for spots that there just really wasn't a role for him on the team. So I do understand why there was a decision to move away from A.J. Lawson. But the big shock, like I said, there was a big shock here. That big shot, I mean, absolutely that big shock, is Ulrich Chomche. Ulrich Chomche, just over a year after getting drafted by the Raptors. The Raptors traded back into the draft in 2024 in order to select him with the 57th overall pick. And just over a year later, he has been waived. So Ulrich Chomche was on one of the two-way contracts in the team. Like I said, you have 15 players in your main roster, then you have 3 players on two-way contracts. One of those 3 players was Ulrich Chomche. The fact that they gave him a two-way contract kind of showcased that they did have belief in the player. They did want to see him a lot with the Raptors 905, but the reality is there have been a lot of good flashes seen from Chomche. He really developed well with the Raptors 905 last season, progressed more and more as the season went on, had some really interesting flashes in Summer League in 2025, but even also as a rookie in 2024. But for the player, he has just not been able to stay healthy. He was injured for the second half of last season, missed out on a lot of time, missed out on a lot of potential game time. Raptors near the end of the season, they were so starved for trying out centers that they were giving Colin Castleton and Orlando Robinson major minutes. Both of those guys, quite frankly, are just not very good at basketball. It would have been really nice to get Ulrich Chomche in that role, but he's just been hurt so much. Did that warrant the team moving on from Chomche? Well, I certainly hope there is more to this story, because I do not think so. I have been pretty impressed every time I've seen Chomche. He's only 19 years old. He's going to be 20 by the end of 2025, but he's still a very young player, still a very raw prospect. But the Raptors knew that when they drafted him. They knew he was an extraordinarily raw prospect. They had to work on it. But just over a year, and they've already decided to move on. I really thought there was potential here for this guy to develop into a player who could occupy a backup big spot in the NBA. But that could still be the case. It's just, again, we don't quite know the extent of the injuries that he's been dealing with. I do believe it is. I think it was MCL. It might have been meniscus. I believe it is a knee ligament that he is struggling with. But nonetheless, it was a very big surprise to see them move on from Chomche this quickly. And definitely this gives Christian Koloko vibes, because the Raptors had to kind of do the same thing for Christian Koloko, where he was dealing with a blood clot issue, and they decided, like, we'd rather just get a better look at somebody else and not have him occupying a roster, rather not have him occupying a roster spot. And then Koloko comes back a few months later and joins the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, at the time, that move hasn't really punished the Raptors, granted. I was really upset when they made that decision, especially when he came back so quickly. But it hasn't really punished the Raptors. Koloko hasn't really done anything with the Los Angeles Lakers, so they haven't been punished by that decision as of yet. So, look, there's probably... I think what this comes down to is there's probably more information here than we are actually privy to. I mean, I think it just absolutely has to be that. And perhaps this is the good hint of that existing, because Blake Murphy says Chomche has been referred to the league's fitness to play panel per sources. No specifics at this point, but similar process-wise to Koloko the other year. So what this means is he needs to be approved by the NBA to return to play. He needs to be approved from a fitness standpoint to be return to play. This is lightning striking twice. This is very unlikely to happen in the NBA, and it's happened twice in very quick succession for the Raptors for two of their potential developing bigs. So kind of difficult, kind of frustrating, to have used assets to get into the draft. Not like anything tremendous, but they use assets to get it back into the draft in 2024, and then they use that pick on Chomche, and then just over a year later, they're already moving another direction. I know it's a 57th overall pick, but I thought there was promise here. So for that reason, again, it is frustrating. I don't think you could spin it in any other way. So with the additional roster spots that have become available, the Raptors have not yet gotten somebody to occupy the two-way vacancy on the team. They certainly will, I would say. I mean, I think they certainly will find someone to take one of those two-way spots. But they have brought in a player on an Exhibit 10 deal. That player in question is Julian Reese. Julian Reese, 4-year player out of Maryland. He is a big, and he is Angel Reese's brother. Angel Reese, will we call her a WNBA star? I guess she's a star in the WNBA. I think she's more of a star for off-court activities more so than on-court stuff. She is a good player. I don't think she is like a fantastic player, but she's a solid player. And that's just interesting. She's a very popular figure in social media world. And anyways, her brother is now on the Raptors. I found this really funny, guys. When Samson Folk of Raptors Republic said this. Raptors have just signed Julian Reese, who is Angel Reese's brother. Angel Reese actually quoted it and said, "Let's go, Jew." And then I think she meant to tag Julian Reese, but she just tagged herself. I don't really understand this, but she said, "Let's go, Jew," and then tagged herself. I certainly don't think that was something that